Hi guys, just gonna go over a quick video of basically mirror uh, mirror survey farming and how where it is, how it's done, what crews to use, etc. Cool. So the mirror system, the survey systems. I know I've done this before, but I'm gonna do it again. Updated with some more crew ideas and stuff like that. So you're gonna the 48s will be a good place to start. Um, from there you move on to your 50s. From the 50s you come down here to you can do 55s. There's 61s, 65s, um, and then from there there's you go up here and there's 58s, 60s, and 58, 60s, 68s, and 70s. And these give you very large amounts of rep to all of your factions. They also give you quite a lot of faction credits. And quite importantly, when you get to G6, they give you Sigma speed ups, which are very important. Um, these are what they look like. And here's someone farming them. He's using another crew that I suggested. See how much he loses. Oh, it's doing very well. So basically, I'm just going to go over some basic crews on how to use them, what to look out for, just general good stuff, right? Okay, so let's start off with picking the appropriate one. So, first off, you must try this with your biggest faction ship, but also try it with an NSEA. If you've got a big NSEA, it might actually be able to do more than your faction ship. Depending, there's just so many variables with all of these things. Research, size of ships, size of your faction ship. You might find that when you get a new faction ship, oh, it's good. Later on, as your NSEA gets better, maybe that becomes better. Cool, but these are important to farm. That's the main point initially. Let's move into some crewing. So there's a couple of good crews. Um, First off, a good place to start, and I'll tell you this right now, is you want to be getting these below deck officers maxed. You will get them maxed by, in the Alliance Tournament store, there is the NX02 ship refit. That doubles your officer pool from this Xborg officer exchange. This is absolutely vital. If it takes all of your, well, I've said this before, but if it takes all of your rare credits that you get, because this is every 2 days, to pull this max, I would say do that above everything else. Getting started on maxing those is so vitally important to your killing power. Cool. So once those are maxed, you also, as I said in my Lorca Fleet Commander Lorca ability, there's a couple. This ability here is very very important, and they pair hand in hand. When you got your Belena Torres or your Neelex maxed, you're going to be effectively giving yourself 20% extra critical hit chance permanently. And why this is important is these ships only fire 2 weapons each round. So often Hugh actually isn't enough to keep max crit. But that said, he's still important because he will get your crit up. So this is the crew that I use. I find they're all very important. Dane I just have for a bit of impulse speed. Probably most important will be in this kind of regard. But the if your ability is low, then she's obviously not as important as that. So this is all, everything changes depending on tiers and stuff like that. But that's what it's going to look like. Your initial, in terms of power below deck. So your initial above deck crew that I think you should try is going to be something like this. And this is what most people have found a lot of success with. what you can, there's going to be so many other things here that are important that change, what works and what doesn't. Another important thing to consider is when you've got those below deck officers maxed, having these two maxed is incredibly important. Having these maxed is also very important. So these are crucial, and then these are also very important. I would max these as soon as you can. Try align them. This is obviously less important if your chem is low. This is obviously less important if your Torres is low, but you can mess around with that kind of stuff and tailor it to what you have. So these abilities that are very, very strong pair with the below deck offers that I said are crucial to get at the start. Cool, that said, we've looked at this initial crew, which is probably the first crew that you can try. Another crew that you can try is something like this. This will probably even last even longer, might require your Kim having a few tiers, After that, you can also even just try something like this. This will require your Kim to have even more tiers. I don't think it's as good as Anoraks, but if you don't have Anoraks, you can put him there. Keep in mind, also important to know, he will be in our next event store. If you're catching this video before then, try unlock him. It's very important. Cool. So moving on from this kind of crew, now you found, okay, you can farm till the timer in wherever it is you're farming. Cool. Now you're wanting to start maximizing your loot in that area. So you can farm to the timer in this one, but you go to the say you can farm to the timer in the 65s with this, or in the 55s, or whatever. But you can't kill the 58s. You can only kill a couple of them. Then what's important to do is to sort of maximize the amount that you're going to get from them, because the credits are quite important, and you might switch up to something like this. Once again, in the next event store, Suda will be there. I think this officer is so important. I will be personally putting every single event store currency into getting him as high level as possible, because he's the combat repair hull repair things pairs with Q to eventually be combat repairing a huge amount. Pun intended. And then, of course, this combat repair being the final piece of that combat repair sort of trifecta that's going to really, really up your survivability. Cool, that's going over that crew. And then what you're going to do with this is, if you find that you're farming the lower ones and you have enough mitigation with someone like Tom Paris, you have enough you have enough mitigation. If you don't know what max mitigation is, there's other videos telling you how to work it out. Basically, you're wanting to be hitting 72% roughly, at least 70% plus mitigation. Then if you are hitting that with just this deck, with just this crew, you can then switch up to having impulse speed there. If you're killing basically if you're killing all of the hostiles, and you're going to time, you might want to put Curran there to get more hostiles in per round. If you're not managing to go to time, say your BLT is low, you don't have the slots or something like that, you can put something like Lorca there. To Lorca's end, I really urge everyone to get this officer max as soon as you can. You'll do that by buying the faction recruits in your faction thing, maxing those recruits, and then going past that, getting from all of these faction recruit bundles, going past that, getting all the transporter patterns, then unlocking Lorca and maxing him in there. You go here, go transporter patterns, and maxing Lorca over here. He's crucial. So then what you do is, if you say your Torres is low, you might use a crew like this, to get a bit more oomph on your ship. Or, as I said, if you want to get more kills and you're going to timer, you can use Charon there. And yeah, that's there's a couple of different ways to crew. Just keep in mind if you are using Pike Moreau, the nice part about this crew is that you never need to use Tom Paris. These two alone will give you maximum mitigation. So this is always just a super crew with regard to any form of hostile hunting. It just uh, lets you not worry about mitigation at all because it will be maxed. And that's crewing to beat the mirror hostiles. There's a couple of variations, but those are the strong ones that I suggest people try. As always, if you have any questions, you can hit me up. If you don't have that Lorca crit chance thing, you can shore your crit chance up with adding in Vial. You know, she's super to just get the last forms of crit chance. Keep in mind these fights with the Mirror hostiles can be very long, so having her will make sure that you hit 100% crit for the rest of the fight after a couple of rounds. And yeah, that explains. So Kim uses your shield as a resource. That's the higher the Kim, the more ability you have to using Strange New World Pike with Hammer and full synergy. I would suggest everyone keep Anorax in. He's just absolutely super against all of these kind of things. A combo of of Pike, as I said, Pike, Hammer, and Anorax will be an amazing crew as well if your Kim is not super high. Um, yeah, so those are a bunch of crews to try. See which one works for you. Everyone works differently. Try not to tell other people necessarily an exact crew to use because what works for you might not work for them, and then they might get frustrated. But you're welcome to refer them to a video like this that I try to explain, how to build a crew rather than just, hey, use this crew. Cool. Thanks, guys.